that is less crowded on the road to success than the road to mediocrity.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Pooski and welcome back to another video, and this time we are going over the 2024 Illinois Classic, where on the show we have EJ Tackett, Jake Peters, AJ Johnson, Sean Lavery Spar, and Marshall Kent. So we're not going to waste any time because we do got the P. Weber Classic coming up soon, and it's been a little rough, so that's why the videos haven't been consistent. Anyways, match number one, we have EJ Tackett versus Jake Peters. Jake Peters starts off with the Extreme Envy and EJ starts off with the Venom Shock. Now EJ starts off a little bit rocky. He spares in the first frame and then he splits in the second and only picks up 5. And on the other side, Jake starts off with a beautiful double, but in the third frame he comes up high and leaves the 4-pin. Now like I said, EJ was struggling a little bit. He left the 2-4 in the third and left the big 4 in the fifth, but after that my boy got on a little bit of a streak.
Rash, EJ's not on the telecast.
While Jake Peters after that third frame went on for a triple, but then he comes high in the 7th for a split and he picks it up. And then in the next frame, he almost leaves an 8-10 split. And then he sets himself up beautifully in the foundation frame, aka the 9th frame, with a strike. Now after he left the big 4 in the 5th frame, EJ got 4 in a row, aka a ham bone, and sets himself up beautifully for the 10th frame. Now in the 10th frame, he comes high and leaves the 4-pin, but finishes it off with a strike. All Jake Peters had to do was strike and he moves on, and that's exactly what he does. He moves on to match number 2 versus AJ Johnson. Now I'm a big fan of AJ Johnson and I love his game. I love how much rev and how much speed he gets on the ball. I've always been a fan of him, and I love his demeanor at times. Sometimes his anger and demeanor is a little too much, but you know, most times, especially during PBA League, I love a little bit of trash talk. So AJ starts off with the Crimson Jackal and he leaves a split. Now I think it was the nerves, you know, getting on the show, especially this your first time being on a show and being in a step ladder since the Storm Lucky Classic, which he had won last year, you know, his first title. So you know, you got to get the jitters out and let it go and calm down. While Jake Peters switches to the Emerge Hybrid, Jake starts off with a strike but then leaves the 2-8 in the second frame, but gets a nice lucky high strike in the third. Now AJ switched to the Venom Shock in the second frame on the left lane, and he had a good ball in the second frame, but he left the 7-pin and he picked it up. But I guess he was going a little bit 2-ball arsenal. I guess he's seen something different on the right lane, so he stuck with that Crimson Jackal, but it still didn't work out. And I gotta say, this ball kind of looks finicky to me. Maybe it's just because what I'm seeing. Will I get it? No, because I have 2 Jackals already and I don't need another one, even though I am getting another Venom, the Shock, and the Evoke. But then in the 4th, he throws a shot with the Venom Shock and he hates it coming off, but yet surprisingly he strikes. Well, he surprised himself. And now this is the thing between the 2 patterns, and this is probably why he was going with the 2-ball arsenal. If you looked on TV and when you were watching it, it did look like that right lane had a little bit of a wall and a little bit of an oil patch down there, while the left lane was truly hooking. Jake gets a spare in the 4th and then he goes on for a double. Now AJ finally decides, after talking to his rep, he says, you know what, let's go ahead, let's go Venom Shock all the way, let's ride this horse. And let me tell you, good thing he did. Now like I said, Jake doubled, but then he leaves a 10 pin in the 7th frame, and from there on out he continued to struggle, leaving another 10 pin in the 8th frame, and then he came high, but he struck in the foundation frame. Now AJ is working on a 6-bagger, and I'm guessing we don't have the PBR 6-pack alert no more. I guess that deal is done and over with. All AJ needs is a mark in the 10th in order to beat and shut out Jake Peters. Now he comes high and he goes Brooklyn on his first shot. He picks it up, and now all he needs is 4, and he got 9. Now he moves on to go against Sean Lavery Spar. Now Sean, who is the motive staffer, and while his brother Anthony is the hammer staffer, I hope I got their names correct, at least the other brother's name correct. Now I think he had a little bit of the nerves. I think he had a little bit of the nerves also. He left the 2-8 and he only picks up the 8. And AJ sticks with the Venom Shock and he strikes twice, double. Sean strikes in the 2nd, but in the 3rd frame he splits, and he knows that this lane isn't good for him and his form.
God, this lane is not good for me.
The way that he throws the ball, I think he has a little bit of loft, just like DJ Archer, and I'm guessing his brother kinda. And if you see their form and how they throw the ball, it's kind of a not your typical approach. He knew that for his style, this lane wasn't good for him, and it didn't feel good. Now in the 3rd frame, AJ splits, and literally all he did was miss by like a board or 2, and he only gets 1 pin. But in the 4th, AJ goes on for a nice trip 9 strike and goes on for a triple. Sean strikes in the 4th, but before the 5th frame, and he moves back to that left lane, which he has been struggling on this whole match. He takes a timeout to figure out what he's going to do in order to get it.
For Sean Lavery Spar. And he takes.
Well, whatever he decided to do and talked over with his ball rep worked, because the man strikes on that lane finally. And if you listen, most of the talk around this show was not having so much hand in the ball, and I am finally learning what that means. And truthfully, if you put a lot of hand in it, means a lot of wrist action and a lot of finger and this, that, and the other. That's what they talk about with hand, because sometimes you want to just roll it off your hand instead of giving it a and flick. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not stupid. Now Sean is putting these strikes together, but he goes way left, pulls the mess out of this ball to leave 3 pins, and he picks it up. At least he picks it up, but he picks it up. Grammar tonight. What's going on? AJ also goes on and he puts some strikes together, but then he leaves 3 pins just like Sean, and he picks it up, and then he gets right back on his horse and gets to putting those strikes back together. Sean gets a strike in the 8th frame, but leaves a 10 pin in the 9th. Now for AJ, he leaves the same 3 he left in the 7th frame again. Now this is where the whole little blame game and stuff comes, and they start coming after my guy Randy.
3, 6, and here, 10. Randy.
Yeah, they were talking the whole show, so I maybe because he was trying to lock in, it was a close match. I don't know. I don't know. But then when he goes for the spare, he only gets 2. Now in order to win, he needs 2 strikes and 5 pins. On the first ball, he gets a nice strike, but on the second ball, it goes a little bit high, but the carry is there, and he strikes. Then to ensure he gets 5 pins, he just throws it straight, and luck be have it, he gets another one, and he moves on to the finals match versus Marshall Kent. Here we are in the championship match. Marshall Kent, AJ Johnson. Who will be the victor and win the Illinois Classic? Let's find out. AJ Johnson decides, you know what, let's go ahead, go into this game. Let's stick with that Venom shot because it's been working for us lately. Let's keep it going. But he leaves a 10 pin. Marshall Kent decides to start with the GB4 hybrid and comes out with a strike to start off the game, but in the second frame he comes a little high and leaves the 4-7, but he picks it up. AJ in the second frame hits that dangerous little oil hang spot on the right lane and splits and only gets 2. Goes on to the right lane in the third frame and leaves the 3-6, but he picks it up. Kent gets it going on the right lane and strikes, but on the left lane he goes a little wide and his messenger that was coming misses and he leaves the 10 pin, but luckily he picks it up. AJ comes out in the 4th frame and strikes, but in the 5th frame he leaves the 4 pin and he picks it up. Kent comes out and he gets inside and that ball just takes off, leaves the 3 and the 6 pin, and he gets a spare. But in the 6th frame he finally strikes on that left lane, which he has been struggling on.
I'm back.
Great shot.
Now this is where AJ kinda hits a little rough patch and he starts getting a little bit confused of what's going on and doesn't know how to get this ball to carry. AJ gets it a little bit right in the 6th frame and leaves the 2 pin, and then the ball keeps on going high on the left lane and he leaves at 8. He spares both frames, but he literally is kind of like, what do I gotta do at this point?
It's gone high every time on this lane.
Kent once again gets it left on the right lane again and leaves the 3-6, but he only gets the 3 pin. But on the left lane he's striking, so literally he switched mid-game, said, okay, I was striking over here, so let me move that over here. Okay, I'm striking over here. What? How do I get it to go over there? All right. Now AJ splits in the 8th frame, but he picks it up. But he is flabbergasted at this point and does not know what he has to do to get some carry around here.
Come on.
Yeah, that's...
How is it not hook?
Now I don't know what it is with AJ in this left lane, but every shot that he does not like strikes.
AJ Johnson.
Didn't need to.
Now Marshall comes out and in a crucial position he strikes on that right lane. Now all he needs is a strike and 8 pins to clinch this championship. He gets a strike on his first ball.
Does hard work pay off? Yes, it does.
And on his second ball,
Now
he gets another strike
he can find a trophy. Marshall Kent.
and claims the title of the 2024 Illinois Classic. Now, if you have ever paid attention to the PBA and seen Marshall Kent, he is literally like the good guy on tour. You might not see him much on the TV, but if you ever see him talking to other players, or if you see him talking on the little clippets and questions that Kimberly Pressler and them be asking them, you always will see him with a smile and such a good dude. I remember the time where he shaved his head before a telecast in honor of his dad.
Kimberly has more on his new look.
Guys, you made mention of Marshall's change of appearance since yesterday, and I can report that he cut his hair off just 2 hours ago. And he did it in honor of his father, Jim, who was diagnosed with brain cancer back in July of 2019. Now, Marshall told no one he was going to go do this, but made a pact with himself that a few months back, that the next show he made, he cut off his hair so his father knew that no matter where in the world Marshall was, that his dad was always with him.
It's nice to see the good guys winning this year, because a lot of these guys, you know, you work so hard on the PBA tour. It's so tough, and it's so many guys, and it's so many deserving winners. But to see Marshall Kent get another singles title, last time we seen him get a title was with EJ for the Mark Roth Marshall Holman doubles. And AJ, your title is coming for the TV. I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to celebrate it. I'll probably celebrate it like I did EJ Tackett's US Open victory last year, screaming and yelling around the house. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm doing this at 2020 at night, 8:20 for people that don't know military time. But yeah, See y'all for the Pete Weber Classic.